Добрий ранок, колеги.
Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and on behalf of Ukrainian Center of Reforms, the project on the base of the center, we welcome Mr. Belarus, the head of State Property Fund of Ukraine, and on privatization, management of state property. That is one of the priority of reforms. One of important issues. We are ready that he will state main principles and ideas since the moment when he was appointed. Thank you very much, colleagues. Dear journalists, and good morning. Today we begin the process of super open communication with the other world, with the external world, with journalist community, with business community, with investors and politicians and MPs, etc., etc. And we'll inform you regularly on privatization and preparing to facilities assets to privatization. Gradually, we'll inform on the main points, the main developments around the assets, and about the time frame and also expectations we have. I would like to tell you right away that the goal of our privatization in 2015 is to improve efficiency of our economy and competitiveness of our country. I repeat, and the words of the Prime Minister, but that's the truth. And we reanimated this process because during the last 10 years we didn't have the big privatization practically, and the biggest privatization was in 2005. It was Kruris Metal, steel, and we'll try to copy that experience, and we'll have a very serious process and transparent processes. Our colleague, Minister of Economy, gives a press conference on investment forum, which will take place on Monday in Washington, D.C., and the Ukrainian delegation will go over there, and I will be there, and I will tell about privatization, what we will do this year in Ukraine. So expectations are very simple. We go to present Ukraine, our opportunities, and we would like to get the feedback from them, to get communication channels and to communicate, and maybe to make investors interested who will be there. It will be the first forum. We will hold such forums in Germany and France, and now we prepare documents and plans, and there is a communication with investors now. So that's why this is the first day of openness. I'm in front of you, and I will answer questions. Then we'll have some kind of online platform, and we'll provide all information about enterprises to be privatized, and we'll inform on preparation and on sales. Some points I wanted to underline for you and for others. Indexes show our management in the country is not efficient, and the management at enterprise they should be replaced, and we don't have money for that. So the state is interested in privatization and bring investments, and this year, this is the answer for your question whether we'll have privatization this year or not. And also, I would like to say that we analyzed together with the Ministry of Economy, and a lot of enterprises that are a part of private property, public property, and statistics is very sad, and we don't see any other solution but a reduction of the list of strategic enterprises that are not allowed, that will not be privatized, and they'll discuss that, and there will be some kind of logical number of those enterprises. All the rest will be sold. We believe that A safeguard for flourishing of Ukraine is in private property. That's why we'll bring investors who finally will manage those enterprises correctly. Also, I would like to underline the State Property Fund is only and is responsible for execution of this privatization project, and so it's not a super political instrument. This is an instrument which has several functions. Per se, State Property Fund has four main functions, and there is a corporate governance, and we'll strengthen this year. Assessment. We are a regulator of assessment in Ukraine. The third function is to preparation and holding privatization, and the fourth function, we are an instrument for rent, to give to rent public property. Those are four functions we have. As to assets for privatization, we have 302 facilities of state property that must be privatized in 2015, 2016, 2017. So there is a regulation 271. And statistically, among those 302 enterprises and the state property force, we have 142 under the Ministry of Coal Industry, 62 by Ministry of Agriculture, and 4 state agencies. But all these enterprises, or parts of them, now they are in the process of transferring them from ministries to the fund, because we will start preparing for privatization when that property is headed into us. When it is under the control, our control, then we'll develop all the processes. At present, we have some problems as to handling some assets. We have groups with the Ministry of Coal, Ministry of Agriculture, etc., and we develop the process of transferring assets and shares. That process has never lost it, or we didn't have it, and it will be the first time. So every day, every week, we'll improve it. I know that you asked about the budget. In the budget, we have 17 billion. There is some revenues from privatization. You'll ask about expectations from the sales. Let's speak about intentions of enterprises. Together with the Ministry of Economy, we singled out strategic enterprises, and will focus on them. That is a Center Enero, OPZ, and 6-Obol Enero, where we have control package of shares, 6 power plants, thermal power plants. And that's the base of our activity, and in 2015, and we don't do this in 2015, we'll do it next year, and all activity will be around that. Many of you will ask how much money we are going to involve from selling Central Energo, Obol Energo. I can tell you, of course, we are planning to have a big competition, and we expect there will be big interest to all their support. I believe that not less than $500 million for 100% of that. We will bring almost. We will sell almost 90% of shares, but there will be a competition or an auction with elements of auction. If you remember privatization of Kryvyi style, you remember what it is, you know what it is. It will be absolutely transparent procedure. We'll inform the country about the tender conditions and about interest and of investors, and also the applications. And the auction will be very transparent. I hope you will be present, and the final price will be defined, and that process will be interesting. will be public not only in Ukraine but also outside of Ukraine, and will get it will be the most transparent presentation in our country, not only Kryvyi Centralergo. I hope it will go through the same procedure as to our plans, and that is our internal information. We would like to see this port first, and then Centralergo, and then we discuss plans about privatization of Obilenergo. Small TPP, and will start bringing them to auction in the end of the summer or autumn, because those who will purchase them, they will have to prepare to the heating season. And also we have a group of non-strategic enterprises who will provide that information for you. Those enterprises that are in our ownership, and they're not strategic. Will provide that information to you, and we'll tell you what we will do to that.
I'd like to dwell briefly on how we will realize our plans, and I'd like to tell briefly about the legislation and amendments that we're working on in order to achieve the results that I've been telling you about. And the amendments pertain to several things, and about the evaluation of the property. We're talking about deregulation and demonopolization of the assessors' services. We'd like to raise the quality of those services and to make it accessible not only while doing privatization but also for individuals. Then the assessment and evaluation of property and land are being joined into one direction, and it will be easier and faster and cheaper to get the evaluation. We're also raising the requirements to personnel, requirements to self-regulatory bodies and their councils, and the introduction of responsibility, including criminal responsibility for non-quality services. Would like to renew the work of the Supervisory Council, which was abolished in 2012. It is composed of public representatives for 30%. This is an active instrument that was removed, and we are bringing it back. We are developing the joint database accessible to all the users, and it all is about the simplification of the procedures, and it is linked to the market of land and property, and we are expecting very good results from these changes. The draft law is already on its way to the Parliament. We'll talk to every individual faction, and we do hope that the MPs will support these revolutionary changes. We also are going to limit the participation of bidders in order to protect national security. And there's a list of those who cannot take part in tendering. Legal entities who are registered in the countries of FATF, also legal entities where the part of the state assets amounts to 25% and more, also legal entities and individuals against whom sanctions are in force. Another change is the involvement of councillors to the sale of strategically important objects. As you know, this always has been a problem. The fund did not have a mechanism or an order or a procedure to sell strategically important objects. We'd like to change this. We have a respective draft. We've tabled it for consideration. As an investment banker in the past, I'm quite sure that the help of investment banks especially where strategic objects are concerned, will not only help to raise the level of transparency, but also will help to involve more bidders and as a result raise the prices that and the money that we can raise as a result of these sales. We will inform you additionally on whom we will select, and I hope that together with us you'll watch and monitor this process. It's going to be very interesting, I promise you this. And the last change is the ban to make the shares portfolios smaller. We're talking about some 5% or so of shares that were taken out of the portfolio and sold on the market until the very moment of sale. It is a very expensive process for the state. I don't know why did they do this, but we think that this is not right. At the moment, the law is approved by the Cabinet of Ministers, and I hope that before the end of July we will be able to pass this change through the Parliament, as we are moving forward to change to sell quite a lot of objects. At the moment, these stock exchanges do not really function, and there are no investors there, so we want to remove this norm and to concentrate on the sale of those projects through competition and tendering procedures. There are two methods. First, everything that relates to 25%, all the minority shares will be sold through stock exchange, and all that is more will be sold through the tendering procedures. We're planning and we are already working on the unfolding of the work of our website so that it becomes more informative and will provide information not only on privatization, but in general inform the community about the objects that we have, about the objects that the ministries are transferring to us, what's the management there, what's the business there, and we will in fact push this information to the masses. We have another idea that I would like to voice here. We'd like to convert the small privatization, online privatization. We are thinking about this. We want to launch these sales according to the methodology of the so-called Dutch auction. And the number of objects that can be privatized in this way is enormous. You know, and this is a fast and super transparent method. There are some nuances, of course, connected to the procedures and mechanisms and law enforcement bodies, and we'll work on this together with the city of Kyiv, where the system for public purchases procurement is already in place, and the Ministry of Justice has introduced it. I think that we'll take them as an example, and we will work in this direction very fast, and I hope that within a month I will tell you how this will look, and we'll talk about this. I can't but mention several other things about the relations with the future owners of the objects that go through privatization. The legislation of Ukraine does provide for guarantees for their rights, and we of course are drawing a list of requirements that new owners should perform, and we also define the conditions where the contract can be broken. First, if they do not pay the money that was a condition for over 60 days, now they do not perform the obligations, and also if they become bankrupt. I can tell you in a couple of words how we are going to conduct tenders about strategic objects. As you know, we have actually cancelled the qualification requirements, and we won't limit the participation by pre-qualification, which was actually popular with our predecessors, and this was used by them to get away from some undesired bidders. But we will very diligently study the sources of the money. We still are not guaranteed against the coming of some dubious investors, but we will try to avoid this. Another huge problem that I'd like to share with you, and I'll inform you in the future. We have analyzed the course of privatization over the entire history of Ukraine. I can tell you that a lot of enterprises are being brought to bankruptcy before the privatization, and then the hidden privatization takes place. The scale of this problem is enormous. We analyzed 127 enterprises where we have the control and share, and only 35 of them are living. All the rest of them are in different stages of bankruptcy, and we will fight this, of course. And I think that at the end of the next month, or even this month, I'll tell you more about this. Probably the fund has never been engaged in this, but the times they are changing, and we will involve people from the private sector. They've already here, and whatever pertains to the financial management, financial assessment, and bankruptcy, the new deputy head on financial accountability has joined us from the business, Natalia Lebedь. She's a well-known reformer, and I hope that all the other people will also be of the same quality. We'll tell you soon about the changes in our central headquarters. Our plans are as follows. We are now hiring practically new personnel. Then we will look at the optimization of the work of the central headquarters, and at the moment almost 2,000 people work, and they are really working. So we will analyze what people are doing in reality, what they do, everyone at their job place. Together with the Ministry of Economy, we are looking into the strategy of development of state property as such in 2017, 16 and 17, and even now we understand that the structure that there is now is inefficient, and the companies that are being managed by the ministries usually show loss. So in order to work in this plane, we should assemble all the assets at one platform, and then we will be able to work well. At the moment, our focus is privatization because there's not much time. We have to show results before the end of this year, and I hope that you will help us with covering the course of the entire privatization. So priority number 1, privatization of strategic objects. Priority number 2, improvement of the corporate management of those objects that we have as owners. And then priority number 3, to streamline the privatization legislation and make it as easy as possible so that we can sell the objects as transparently as possible, involving counselors and advisors, and get real results. So these are our plans for 2015. We've got, in fact, only half a year left. This is very small, little time, and the procedures now are rather long. We are trying to fulfill quite a lot within an impossible time frame, but we want to show the world that we can do what we need, and we have 7 minutes to answer your questions. Please be concise. Natalia Belousova, you said that you found hidden privatization. Can this be a ground for cancellation of competitions and bids, auctions? You also said that, and what was the period when this hidden privatization happened, and which strategic objects do you plan to exclude from the list?
I spoke about bankruptcy. Those enterprises that have not reached privatization. The management at those enterprises, they did everything possible for that facility not to get into privatization, to be liquidated, all the assets to be taken by creditors, etc. That's what I call hidden privatization. There is no other hidden privatization. What you're talking about, that is a privatization during previous years, in 2012, 2014. If you want to ask about reprivatization, that's a popular topic. I would like to tell you that that is just a more political process, and I would like to draw your attention that the fund is an instrument. If our police and the parliament decide that one or the other facility should be reprivatized, we'll perform our function. We'll take that property and we'll have one more privatization. That's our function. Which are not a political organization. Together with the law enforcement bodies, we are working on some facilities, including Ukretelecom, commissions and by the parliament, and they all studied the conditions, and some other facilities. I wouldn't like to mention them because there are some criminal cases around them. So I believe that we'll have a separate press briefing for you for that. And we'll launch the dialogue today. It will be in the form of such press conferences, roundtables, without ties, in my office, online communication, and TV, radio, and everything else. So I will speak a lot to media. Energoatom, etc. We are working with what we get. They gave us 302 enterprises. Among them, there is no Energoatom, railroads, and tunnel, etc. If you analyze Article 271, there is an appendum 2, which is not approved. If it is approved, then if those facilities get into our hands, we'll work with them. What will we do? What did I tell you about strategy of state enterprises? Because that's about Energoatom, Naftogaz, railroads, Antonov, Yuzhny, Obronprom, etc., etc. So I'm convinced that the state should decide where we should have those enterprises, who cares about them, after them, how they are managed. You know, they prepare the reform, state-owned enterprises will have new corporate management rules and reports, new management, compensation, control, etc. That's why I cannot speak about Energoatom because it was not provided to us. When they do transform it to us, I will talk about that. One more question. We have the next briefing, so 2 questions and that's it. Very, very briefly. About strategic enterprises. Yeah. Those who criticize you about Odessa and Peze, They speak about Russian presence and which cannot be privatized. Could you comment that? And also, what is the part of state public ownership will be in these enterprises? In Germany, it's 30%. 1,400 enterprises they are prohibited. Privatization is prohibited. We suggest to keep only 300 and to sell all the rest. That's the answer to your question. I don't know in percentage. We can calculate that. About Ukrotranschem Aviak. Now it's part of Ministry of Economy. It's not on the list of privatization. That's a strategic enterprise, and you want to ask me my opinion. We say Naftogaz is a strategic company in the US. They don't have such companies in public ownership. This is an issue of discussion. I stand for privatization, including Ukrotransamiak. If we have a very good investor from the US or Arabs or from Europe, why not to give them to manage those who buy the port? That's easy. It's quite a simple company. Everything is transparent and everything is clear. We can discuss it separately. Yesterday at the cabinet ministers, you told that about Opasa there was 7 meetings. Yes, who was interested in Opasa and what else? The majority of companies, they are public, so they are present on New York and London Stock Exchange. I would like to name them. Those are Western companies, and the majority of them participated in previous privatizations. Successfully or not successfully? Opposite. There were 2 efforts that were not successful, and they stopped them on a certain stage. Once again, interest is very high. Enterprises are the enterprise is very interesting. It's they use gas, and 85% of products exported. Enterprise is not. It includes also terminal. That's big business, and we can argue what is more profitable, the terminal or the factory. But the situation on the market is very good, and ammonium is. There's a demand for ammonia, so lots of discussion to sell or not to sell. To sell. We should sell, because if you give me a lot of successful examples when the state enterprises pay a lot of dividends to the budget, I will applaud and celebrate that holiday with you. But I'm sure that we'll not have that. We have very sad indexes. Now we speak about strategic facilities. I would will you bring audit companies? Will you study links of companies and their connections with Russia? Yes. The state is planning to have a holding company to manage state public companies. It's not a question to me. It's just on the level of discussion. Central Energo can be divided before privatization. It's not my topic. I mean, Energo, when will you get shares for the privatization to be disrupted? You or at the cabinet of ministers today or tomorrow? Last question. Will there be privatization of ports? To privatization of ports, will you? We don't consider that because they are impedimenta. We should sell not ports, but we should have concession according to the standards we have in the world, because that's a very good public property. We shouldn't sell it, and we should look at global operators and the conditions of concession who will professionally manage the ports. Thank you very much, colleagues. I apologize. I said that we used resolved more time. Last time that interest, and if you have additional questions, we are ready to communicate, and on a regular basis we'll get together, because these issues will be very important every month and every day. Thank you for your attention. We'll have a next briefing here, so let's go to the corridor. The rest of the questions in the corridor.
Давайте на ходу, давайте тут, от давайте от через центральний, туди там вийдемо. Ось тут центрально вийдемо і спокійно.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Раз, два, три, 4. Раз, два, три, 4, 5. ДСР. Раз, два, три, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Раз, раз, два, три, 4. Раз, два, три, 4, 5. Раз, два, три, 4.